Today on Heroes of History, we are going to be talking about Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey, or Frederick Douglass. You know his name, but do you know his story?
These united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British crown. For the support.
On a Y plantation in Easton, Maryland. And here is where Frederick Douglass, at 7 years old, first realized he was a slave. He also first witnessed the brutality of slavery here. Mr. Severe was rightly named. He was a cruel man. I have seen him whip a woman, causing the blood to run half an hour at a time. And this, too, in the midst of her crying children, pleading for their mother's release. He seems to take pleasure in manifesting his fiendish barbarity. From Douglass's autobiography. A moment that would change his life was when he was chosen to travel to Baltimore to be a slave for his master's relative. His master's wife taught him the alphabet, but when his master found out, he was furious and made her stop, saying that it would encourage slaves to desire freedom. Then he learned to read from white kids on the streets. He credited the book, The Columbian Order, for teaching him to speak with power and shape his views on freedom and human rights. From Baltimore, Douglass was sent here as a teenager, St. Michael's, Maryland. It was here where he was sent to a slave breaker named Covey. He was sent to Edward Covey's plantation as a punishment for teaching other slaves how to read the New Testament. He was whipped once a week. Finally, he fought back, and after a 2-hour brawl with Covey, Douglass won. Since Covey didn't want to ruin his reputation as a slave breaker by letting that story get out, he agreed never to whip Douglass again, and he didn't. Douglass was soon back in Baltimore working in a shipyard, from which he escaped and became a free man. In this house, in 1877, Frederick Douglass returned to St. Michael's to say goodbye to his old master, Thomas Auld. Auld was on his deathbed, and despite how he had treated Douglass, Douglass came and forgave him. From his front lawn, Douglass could see the U.S. Capitol, a symbol of the freedom he had to fight so hard to get. The most influential African American of the 19th century, Douglass made a career of agitating the American conscience. Less than a month before his death, when a young black man asked what his advice would be to a young African American just starting out in the world, Douglass replied without hesitation, "Agitate, agitate, agitate." Frederick Douglass, born into slavery and escaped, was a leader in the civil rights movement and in the women's rights movement. He is a hero of history. The hero of history.
These united colonies are